February 2014, Satya Nadella started as a new CEO for Microsoft. Microsoft, huge company, right? A company estimated to be worth around $300 billion around that time, but they have a big challenge in front of them. If you remember, we discussed a little bit through this podcast and the videos we recorded previously about companies that were doing quite good, doing great in their business, but they were facing a challenge on innovation, or at least what is right now challenging their business to make sure that even though they are doing really good right now, they are positioned to stay relevant for the future and for the changes that are coming to the future. And in the case of Microsoft in 2014, the case was the company was positioned as the Windows company. And of course, that was quite a very good position to be. Windows had the biggest market share for operational systems, and Microsoft had a big, um, good margin on this software, and they were leading on that. Windows dominated the market, and with that, Microsoft dominated that market. But other technologies and other ways of working with technology were already starting to challenge that. Not the Windows position, but the relevance of having that as the main business for the company. And in the other perspective, or in another perspective at least, Microsoft had some crucial challenges happening internally for them. They had a culture that was reflecting not the best or what is expected from a team in terms of collaboration. They had even a system, they call it like the stack ranking system, where they evaluated employees comparing themselves between them in the teams. So imagine you have a team with 10 people. The way that they evaluated people there was always comparing in a rank. So this ranking would put someone as the top performing on the top of this list, and someone always compare with the rest of the teams at the bottom, and that person could be fired. So this case created a situation for Microsoft where they were actually afraid of collaborating with each other and helping each other at the company, because helping a colleague could actually mean that you are helping someone to perform better than you, and maybe that can impact your next salary talk or the way that your career is going to progress inside the company. A very, yeah, we can say terrible or a bad situation at least to be if you are building your career. And that culture was quite risky for the company. If you don't collaborate, it's hard to innovate, right? It's hard to find new ways of doing things if people are even afraid to help a colleague inside the company. And Satya Nadella started the company with a book in his hand. And that book was Mindset from Carol Dweck. We already talked about this book. It's a book that, if you're curious, you can read in my newsletter or in my website, williammeller.com. A big summary, probably one of the biggest summaries about this book you can find for free. And in this book, Satya Nadella brought all the leadership in the company to discuss about how to create a great culture, not a culture based on a fixed mindset where people in this fixed mindset model are not expected to grow or to change, but changing that completely to a growth mindset where you can bring people together to collaborate as a team and grow or change the way they were doing things, challenge the way that they were doing things, even though those things were working quite well for Microsoft. And of course, with that, he decided to uh, completely end this stack ranking, this comparison system between the employees. The years passed, and in 2016, Microsoft already saw some big changes with the company being much more positioned in the cloud marketing. And by the way, Nadella was very clear. We are going to be a cloud computing company. And now in 2026, Microsoft is very well positioned in this business and is a company worth more than $3 trillion. It's a completely proof that focusing on the right things, prioritizing the right things is a great way to make sure that your business is going to survive. And of course, as always, we have a great connection here to make between what is happening today to what happened in Microsoft. Because we are seeing a prioritization in so many areas or things that are impacting our work, like this one we are going to discuss right now. For 22 years in a row, salary was the most important thing, at least the one that employees and people around the world would consider the most important thing to decide about moving to a new company or even consider a new job position or to stay in their company. Salary was always the most important thing. As I said, for 22 years in a row, that never changed. But in 2026, for the first time, it changed. That's true. We have a research from Randstad. This research was called Randstad Workmonitor 2026, and they interviewed 26,000 workers across 35 different countries. Very a broad research. In the beginning of this year, 2026, and the first quarter actually, and the question was quite simple: what matters the most for you at work? And for the first time, salary was not the first one. It's only 1 percentage point, one percent difference between them. But for the first time, we have a change, and the leader now is the work life balance. People want to have more influence on where and how they do the work and what they are able to do when the work hours are over. They want to make sure that they have still energy, so when they finish their work day, they have capacity to do something more, something with their kids, something with their family, or at least practice some sport. I don't know, anything. But that is considered by employees around the world as the most important thing right now. And that is interesting because we have so many different things that we could reflect here right now. The first one, if I take from a leadership perspective or a management perspective, I want to reflect like, are the companies actually building their packages and their culture for making sure that the teams have energy to do other things? And this is not only about personal life. Think about the new technologies arriving around us. Do you feel you have time to even learn those technologies? Many people are saying, we have other researchers and we have some videos talking about that in the channel. People are saying that they don't have time even to learn about the new technologies, about AI, about what is happening around them, because they are always working and focusing on more and more and more things. We are, in that sense, doing more and not having time for anything else than producing or performing at work. And now, with this research saying that people have a preference for a work that will give them some kind of life balance and they can have energy after work hours, the reflection is quite interesting. What are you doing? What are you actually offering in our companies so that people feel that they work in a place that is meaningful for them? They are performing, they are building something that makes sense for their careers, but also they have the energy and the power of decision to make sure that their time, it's still their time. And with that in mind, I want to ask you a question from a career perspective to you. And I want to invite you to reflect with me because this is the reflection that I am doing after seeing those numbers. What are you prioritizing right now in your career, in this season of your career? Because depending where you are professionally, the stage of your career, salary or making more money can still be the top one, the thing that you think is the most important one to influence where you're going to work, what is going to be your decision when a new offer arrive for you. But that changed completely over the seasons of life. And that is something quite interesting to reflect, because what is important to you right now maybe is not the most important thing that will be the one for you in 5 years or in 10 years. And that reflection, it is for sure very important. But from a leadership perspective, back to the question on management and what the companies are offering, are we even reflecting about this in our companies nowadays? Is our strategy, or in this case, our people strategy inside our company, prepared for a work or a world of work where people want to have more control of their time? Because this is also connected to what we discussed in the last episode about working from home. People were concerned that even though they are performing better working from home, many technologies companies, they have this data showing that the work performance of people working from home is going quite well. Companies are asking people to come back to the office, claiming that it's about culture, claiming that it's about, I don't know, many different reasons. But people, the workers, they want to have this kind of control, this power of deciding. And if the companies are clashing with this, the risk is always that your top talents, those who can actually decide where they want to work, those who have the knowledge to move between companies because they are needed, this kind of skill is needed somewhere else, you are always putting a risk that you lose those professionals. So the question for you as a manager, or the one who have power, the power to decide or to influence in your companies, is, are you at least having those conversations inside your company? Are you thinking about that? What is the most important thing for your employees, for your workforce right now? And for your career, I want to come back on what I said. What is the most important thing to you right now in your season, in the moment that you're living in your career? Let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious. I have people from different ages and in industries, and I know that many people listening to this talk, they are in different moments of their lives. So let me know, because I'm curious, and maybe the content that we are creating together here can be prepared in a way that is even more connected to the season of your career right now.